Look at any busy street in a major city, and you'll see a hidden financial paradox. Two people can walk out of the same office building, earning the exact same salary, yet their futures will look entirely different. One accumulates wealth, while the other remains stationary. The difference comes down to the order of their cash flow. In the standard financial sequence, income flows first into fixed bills, then into lifestyle spending, and finally, any remaining leftovers are expected to fill a savings account. As the highlight moves to this final bucket, we see the mechanical failure of this system. When wealth building is placed at the end of the line, the earlier buckets tend to expand until the final reservoir is completely dry, leaving no capital to invest for the future. The quarter rule provides a structural intervention by moving the investment step to the very beginning. It requires the mechanical diversion of 25% of your income into assets the moment you are paid. This reordering forces a fundamental change in how your money behaves. Instead of spending your time to earn dollars, you use your dollars to acquire assets that function independently of your labor. We can see this in the case study of Alex and Ben. Both start with a monthly income of $4,000. Alex follows the standard path. His income covers his rent, groceries, and entertainment, leaving his bank balance at zero every single month before his next paycheck arrives. Ben applies the quarter rule. While Alex's income bar on the left dissolves entirely into consumer costs, Ben's bar splits immediately. He routes exactly $1,000 into an investment vault, leaving him $3,000 for his monthly expenses. After 10 years, the timeline reveals a massive disparity. Alex's net worth remains flat, but Ben has acquired a portfolio of businesses and assets that generate value 24 hours a day. For most long-term investors, these assets take the form of broad index funds. Rather than picking individual stocks, you are buying fractional ownership in hundreds of the world's most profitable corporations. These businesses continue to provide services and generate profits even while you sleep. Every dollar invested becomes a permanent employee working to grow your net worth without requiring your manual effort. This graph shows the math of that growth over 3 decades. The linear line at the bottom represents your $500 monthly contributions. The sharply curving line above it represents compound growth, which can turn that modest habit into over $1 million at a 10% average return. Because of this exponential curve, time is more valuable than the initial amount you invest. Consider Sarah and Michael, who both invest $500 every month. Sarah begins at age 22, while Michael waits until age 32. Even though they contribute the same monthly amount, Michael's growth line on the graph never catches Sarah's trajectory. By retirement, her 10-year head start translates into hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional wealth. This mathematical phenomenon is what led Albert Einstein to reportedly describe compound interest as the 8th wonder of the world. The math is clear. Starting early with small, consistent amounts provides a massive advantage over attempting to catch up later with larger sums. To reach that $1 million goal, you have to survive market volatility. Beginners often panic when they see their initial investment drop by 20% during a market crash. Fear drives many people to sell their assets during these plunges, locking in losses exactly when they should stay the course. When we zoom out to a 50-year timeline, those crashes appear as small dips within a massive upward trend. Experienced investors view these drops as opportunities to acquire quality assets at a lower price. This requires shifting your perspective on what investing actually is. Instead of viewing those dollars as spent, recognize that the capital is still yours. It is simply working in a different location for your future self. Developing the patience to hold through these cycles acts as a tangible financial skill, effectively neutralizing the impact of short-term market noise. Setting the target at 25% provides a clear roadmap. For someone earning $3,000 a month, the goal is $750. For an income of $5,000, the target is $1,250. This specific percentage is mathematically significant enough to build real wealth over time, while remaining a sustainable lifestyle adjustment for most professional careers. The greatest risk is the cost of delay. Every year spent waiting for a higher salary or a perfect market is a year where the vault door of compounding slowly closes, making it harder to reach financial independence. Consistency over decades will always outperform short, intense bursts of effort. Wealth building is a product of time and steady, mechanical action. The quarter rule provides a mechanism for the slow, systematic purchase of permanent freedom from financial anxiety. By making your money work for you today, you ensure a future where your survival is no longer tied to a paycheck. What would happen to your bank account if your car broke down tomorrow morning, or if an unexpected medical bill arrived next week? Imagine your main source of income were to suddenly shatter today. Life is indifferent to your financial readiness. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, a sudden, expensive emergency is a mathematical certainty. Many people treat saving as a problem for their future selves. They assume their financial vulnerability will automatically resolve once they secure a raise or land a better-paying job. This chart shows why earning more rarely solves the problem. As your earnings climb, your expenses track perfectly beneath them, a phenomenon called lifestyle inflation. A larger apartment, a newer car, and more subscriptions quickly consume every new dollar, leaving you with zero margin. To break that cycle, you need a dedicated financial shock absorber. This means taking exactly 15% of your income and placing it into a liquid savings account. Keep this money away from the stock market or crypto exchanges. Simply save it. This 15% allocation functions as a protective mechanism. It exists specifically to insulate you from total financial disaster today. Consider the different paths of Emma and Jake. Both of them take home the exact same salary of $4,000 every month. Jake consumes 100% of his incoming cash flow. Between rent, food, and entertainment, every dollar that comes in goes right back out, leaving him entirely exposed to risk. This chart shows Emma's alternative approach. She automates exactly 15% of her income every payday. While Jake's account drops to zero, Emma reroutes $600 into a protected account. 1 month passes, then 2, then 6. After 12 months, Emma has $7,200 in reserve. She did not receive a lucky windfall or an inheritance. A robust safety net is the inevitable product of a small, automated habit sustained over time. Exactly 1 year in, both of their cars break down. They each receive an identical repair bill for $1,800. Jake has no liquid capital. Because he needs his vehicle to get to work, he has to absorb the shock by putting the entire bill on a high-interest credit card. This chart illustrates Jake's trap. Interest payments stack on the principal, transforming a temporary $1,800 problem into compounding financial stress. But Emma liquidates a fraction of her cash reserves to pay the mechanic directly. She triggers no debt, zero interest, and retains over $5,000. Scaling up this habit allows you to warehouse 3 to 6 months of total living expenses. That creates a buffer large enough to handle major structural disruptions. Jake and Emma had the exact same resources. The vast difference in their realities was determined by their willingness to prepare for the inevitable. We can elevate the stakes beyond a broken car. Imagine both individuals walk into work tomorrow and experience a sudden, complete loss of employment. The non-saver instantly enters survival mode. Driven by panic and the pressure of bills coming due, they are forced to make compromised, short-term decisions, often taking the first job available, regardless of whether it fits their career goals. The saver, equipped with a 6-month liquid buffer, has the luxury of time. They can assess their options and wait for the right opportunity. People often label saving as boring, while viewing stock trading or crypto as exciting. Saving is the literal purchase of future optionality. You are buying freedom. Investing and saving perform 2 distinct functions. Investing builds the grand structure of your financial house. Liquid savings pour the deep, concrete foundation that prevents the entire structure from collapsing during an earthquake. The 15% rule yields a tangible capital reserve and the unshakable confidence that a single bad day can no longer destroy your life. Imagine the daily grind. You go to work, handle your responsibilities, and pay bills. But are you ever allowed to enjoy the money you earn? For many, the answer feels like a constant no. They experience a sharp sense of guilt over every small personal purchase, feeling as though a simple cup of coffee or a new book is a betrayal of their financial goals. This guilt often leads to hyper-restrictive budgets. These plans aggressively eliminate every luxury and cut out all entertainment, trying to turn a human being into a wealth-building machine. Treating money strictly as a tool for survival and saving ignores its secondary function. Beyond just keeping you safe, money serves as a tool for actually living your life. Trying to maintain that level of restriction eventually leads to what experts call budget burnout. It works like an extreme diet. For a few weeks, the discipline feels productive and rewarding. Then reality arrives. The constant deprivation turns into frustration. This frustration usually triggers a binge cycle. After weeks of denying yourself everything, you abandon the budget completely and spend hundreds of dollars on an impulsive whim, destroying your progress in a single afternoon. To stop this cycle, you need a dedicated 10% enjoyment fund. This is a guilt-free allocation of your income designed specifically to support your happiness. Planned enjoyment serves as a calculated preventative measure against financial self-sabotage. Let's look at the baseline math. If you earn $2,000 per month, 10% is exactly $200. This $200 belongs in its own category. It stays completely separate from your rent, your emergency savings, and your investment accounts. While $200 might feel small in the moment, projecting that allocation over a year creates a $2,400 fund for hobbies, weekend trips, and rewards. The rules for this money are simple. It has been planned for, it doesn't interfere with your future, and it must be spent without an ounce of guilt. Creating a substantial fund for happiness depends on the intentional, mathematical allocation of your income rather than the size of your salary. Consider Sarah and Jake. Both earn $4,000 per month, but they handle their enjoyment very differently. Sarah carves out exactly $400 every month for her enjoyment budget. Jake simply spends whenever he feels like it. Sarah uses her $400 for movies, dining out, and weekend activities. She feels in control because every dollar was pre-allocated for exactly those purposes. Jake's spending is random. He might spend only $200 one month, but then drop $1,000 the next month on a sudden impulse he barely remembers a few weeks later. At the end of the year, Sarah feels confident and relaxed. Jake is anxious, constantly wondering where his money went and why his savings haven't grown. The presence of a plan creates the boundary between financial anxiety and financial peace of mind. This rule scales as your career progresses. If you earn $5,000 a month, your enjoyment budget becomes a robust $500. That $500 can cover a broad lifestyle. You could allocate $150 for dining, $50 for streaming services, $100 for hobbies, $100 for weekend events, and put the final $100 into a travel fund. The goal is to maximize your return on happiness. High-value spending focuses on experiences and skills, which provide more lasting joy than the brief hit of an accidental online purchase. You should also watch out for the status trap. Spending money on luxury items specifically to impress strangers offers a very low emotional return on your investment. True value comes from using that 10% to strengthen relationships and create memories. This requires a shift in mindset. Think of your enjoyment budget as an active investment in your personal well-being. Financial compound interest is important, but it's not the only type of growth that matters. Some of your most vital investments will yield memories, personal growth, and stronger connections with the people you love. There is a real risk in hyper-restriction. You could spend decades meticulously saving every dollar, only to realize you spent your entire life preparing to live, instead of actually living. Money has several jobs to perform. It builds wealth, it creates security, and it covers your necessities. But a dedicated portion must be allowed to simply help you enjoy the present. By intentionally planning for joy, you remove the guilt of spending and eliminate the stress of the binge cycle. You build a life that is both financially strong and genuinely worth living. Imagine receiving your paycheck, looking at a solid number, and watching it instantly evaporate before you've made a single conscious choice to spend. The money is already spoken for. It disappears into automatic deductions required to keep life running: your rent or mortgage, your internet bill, auto loans, and insurance premiums. The standard assumption is that earning more money will eventually fix this squeeze. But for most people, a higher salary just speeds up the treadmill, keeping them running in place. The shorter pillar represents Emma, earning $3,500 a month. The taller is James, bringing in $6,000. James should have stronger finances. Fast forward 5 years, James is struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. Emma has built substantial savings and actual stability. What drained James's higher income is a phenomenon called lifestyle inflation. It's the human tendency to increase your standard of living every time your paycheck goes up. You get a raise, so you move into a larger apartment. You get a bonus, so you lease a more expensive car. Every extra dollar gets absorbed into a higher baseline cost of living before a single cent can make its way into savings. Building wealth requires capping the baseline. Earning more works only if you manage what you bring in. That's where the 50% rule comes in, a strict boundary dictating that exactly half your income covers your living expenses. Implementing this rule means looking at your monthly take-home pay and drawing a hard line down the middle. One half of that money is entirely dedicated to the essentials required to maintain your daily life. This starts with absolute core survival requirements. You need a safe place to live, whether that's paying rent or a mortgage, and you need basic groceries to feed yourself. It also includes the secondary infrastructure of modern life: electricity, water, reliable transportation to get to work, and the basic internet connection required to function in today's economy. This animation illustrates the critical step in making the 50% rule work, passing every expense through a strict analytical filter. You have to separate genuine survival needs from lifestyle wants. For example, reliable transportation is a requirement for getting to your job. That makes it a need. A luxury vehicle lease with heated leather seats is a lifestyle upgrade, making it a want. The same logic applies to your digital life. A basic phone data plan to stay connected is a necessity. Financing the latest premium smartphone is a want. When you fail to rigorously sort those two categories, luxury upgrades disguise themselves as necessities. That blind spot is exactly how people fall victim to accidental lifestyle inflation, steadily increasing their baseline costs without realizing it. Let's run the math on a real-world scenario. We'll take an individual bringing home $5,000 a month. Here is a chart showing that $5,000 income split directly down the middle. That $2,500 necessity block breaks down into practical limits: $1,200 for rent, $400 for groceries, $300 for transportation, and the final $600 covering utilities, insurance, and internet. Notice how rent and transportation dominate the chart. These are the big levers of personal finance. They consume the largest percentage of your baseline, so they require the most aggressive control. This graph illustrates the immense power of those major choices. If you choose an apartment that saves you just $400 a month, that seemingly modest decision compounds into $24,000 of retained cash over 5 years. The math is unforgiving. Your structural commitments for housing and your car dictate your long-term financial destiny far more than skipping a daily coffee ever will. Humans naturally adjust their spending to match the money sitting in their checking account. Without a strict artificial boundary in place, your lifestyle naturally expands to consume whatever capacity is available. And when your necessities stretch to consume nearly all your income, the margin for error vanishes. A routine car repair or a sudden medical bill goes from being an inconvenience to a catastrophic crisis that shatters your budget. Look at these pressure dials representing 2 different households hitting that exact same medical emergency. Family A is running with fixed costs at 80% of their income. Their dial instantly redlines into debt and panic. Family B operates at a strict 50% capacity. They absorb the exact same financial spike safely within their green zone. Real financial strength happens behind the scenes. The person driving a 10-year-old sedan might have deep liquidity and zero debt, while the driver in the brand new luxury SUV is quietly suffocating under monthly payments. By ruthlessly containing your fixed necessities to half your paycheck, you instantly liberate the remaining 50%. That money is now free to be deployed toward investments, high-yield savings, and guilt-free enjoyment. Establishing this boundary serves as a tactical maneuver to secure breathing room. It buys back your future options and forces your money to work for you instead of against you.